Alright there everybody, welcome to another fishing adventures, and today we're back up at Redwood Park, only this time we're fishing the brand new lake called the Lagoon. Now it's only been open a couple of months and it's had I think 3 or 4 matches on it. There's an open match coming on Sunday that I quite fancy having a go at, to be fair. Today's Tuesday, so I've basically come up and I'm going to set up as I would approach it if I was fishing a match. Okay, it's a lake I've only really seen once when I was up here the other day filming. It's totally different to anything else that's up here. It's not quite a snake lake and it's not quite a normal lake, if that kind of makes sense. And the contours are very, very odd. It's taken me by surprise when I've been plumbing up, to be fair. In the margins here, right close up to the bank, you've got about 2 or 3 inches, which isn't really any good, I don't think. So what I've had to do, I've had to basically hour it out using there's a fence over there. I'm just using the posts there to get a rough idea of where it contours out, and it goes up to about 8 inches and then it starts just to drop off onto a shelf. So that's where I've plumbed up a margin rig, if you like, for a little bit later on in the day. Initially I'm going to start off short at the bottom of the first shelf. Okay, it's about, what have we got there, it drops down to, I said about 4 foot, maybe 3.5, 4 foot at the bottom of that first shelf, and that's where I'm going to start off. I'm going to start off there with maggots, as I always do, because they'll give me a good idea of what's what. I've also got a line further out at about 9.5 meters, and again it's the same sort of depth, so I've got a line there for longer just in case they do push out. Bait choices, I've got dead reds, I've got some sweet corn for a little bit of feed and a little bit of hook bait later on as well. I've got some 6mm pellets and I've got some dampened micros. Okay, so as I say, I'm going to start the session just on the maggots, short, as I always would, and we'll see how it goes. Now there has been a few fish showing around me, so it's a good sign there's a few about. It is important to come up to these venues and have a practice. You can't just turn up cold turkey and expect to do well. You need at least one session where you can just come up and see what the venue's like and know the depths and the contours and stuff like that. So it's always worth just having a bit of a day, trying a few things out. I think this could be one of those lakes where the fish will sit at a certain depth, a bit like a snake lake. If you get into a few fish at a certain depth, it's a good chance that they're going to be at that depth throughout the lake, really. So it could just be a matter of changing depths and trying to work out where these fish are. Oh, I missed him. That was a good bite as well. Feel there. Let's feed another pinch of maggots, flick that rig out, because it is, as I say, we're fishing just at the bottom of the inside shelf. So by flicking the rig further out, it's going to come and lay just at the bottom of that shelf. I've got a strung out shotting pattern as well, and I'm about an inch and a half over the depth as well. I've plumbed this up to the bottom of the pole body just so I know I've got a little bit of extra on the deck, and that'll also help as well with this wind, because if it keeps up like this, there's going to be a little bit of tow, and I want that hook bait stuck on the deck, really. Dearie me. Now that is the world's smallest barbel. Oh, there we go, straight away. Again, there's just no indications now at all. So I think the amount, oh, there we go. I think the amount of feed I'm putting in has possibly pushed them properly onto the deck, especially with those pellets going in, because they're a heavy bait out there. They're going to, this one's pulling a bit. Whee. So it's a good idea sometimes as well, just get that pole tip in the water, because the extra drag on the elastic will just give them a bit of extra resistance, which is sometimes what you need. Okay, so you're certainly pulling, and again just keep oh, why? It's stunned me, that's why. Damn it. And that was just to switch onto a 6mm hard pellet fishing shallow, and that got that out. So make of that what you will, because it's confusing me, to be honest with you. We did see some swirls, but I didn't think it were from skimmers. But anyway. Slow wallowy bite just on that long line. There we go, nice little stocky. There's a few bubbles coming up now again, and that's what it was like when I had that fish before. It was a load of bubbles and then the float buried, so that's a good sign. So I think those micros are doing their job really, just drawing them in, so that's good, because we had the better stamp of fish when I fed the micros on the short line as well. We seem to get the better fish, so I think definitely the basis of the attack is going to be around micros. Still popping in a few loose offerings just on this short line, just to keep them interested and in that general area, although we seem to be getting a few more indications and a bit more consistency out here with bites. But like I said before, it's always worth trying that short line first, especially in a match. Let everybody else show you what's going to work, because if this had been the match, I'd have started short. If I'd have been a bit more careful or lucky, I'd have got those 2 fish out that I lost, and that would have given us a good start while looking to see what is happening elsewhere on the lake, because if someone had have gone straight out and started fishing the middle and had a couple of fish out straight away, then obviously this would have been the line to get in on, you see, and that's another beautiful little stocky. So if we can get into a good rhythm and getting a good run of these coming out, then we're going to be off to a good start, aren't we? Hopefully we should start to see a few more regular bites now. Still trickling bait in on this short line, but we've not seen any swirls or any signs of life. There's been no bubbles fizzing up or anything like that, which is what we've been getting further out. We've been getting those clusters of bubbles coming up as they've come in and started foraging about. This is why coming up and having a practice pays dividends, because you can kind of work out what's not going to work really, as well as hopefully finding out what will. But it all depends on the day as well, and the weather, etc. It poured down last night, so there's been a ton of rain coming in. We'll see. But again, that bite came after we had all the fizz and the bubbles and the indications and stuff. So they're obviously going in there, mopping it up, and then grabbing the up bait last. Again, that's another little 5 or 6 ounce stocky. Yeah, so I think after this next fish I'm going to switch to meat, just to see if I can't get a slightly quicker response or a slightly better stamp of fish, because the meat is also an option for the margins a little bit later on. And I've also got a little bit of ground bait to try as well, so I think ground bait would be good on this lake, especially if there's tons and tons of stockies. They're going to come in and start foraging around, aren't they? And if I pop a nice bit of meat over the top, or a grain of corn or something, give that the only option as a actual bit of food, they're more likely to take it. But we'll see. It's all about setting traps. Yeah, so the bites they're coming after a few minutes actually, so they're obviously grubbing around and then just seeing. But I'm just going to switch to meat, I think, now, and just see if I can't get a faster response. Oh, lovely little stocky mirror that, because sometimes one hook bait will just get a faster response than another. So we know corn's going to work, okay. So as I said earlier, the basis is going to be micros, because that's got them feeding, it's got them grubbing around. Corn has produced consistent fish, although it's taken a little while to get bites. If you can get one every 5 minutes, it's a dozen fish an hour, which is roughly what you're going to need, I think, to be in with a chance of framing. And then if you can get them coming up shallow, you can maybe catch them a little bit faster, and it all helps, and that could be the difference. Oh, that bite came quicker on the meat. Yeah, it's always worth trying a different hook bait, just to see if you can't get a faster response or a faster bite, do you know what I mean? And if you're getting faster bites, you've got more chance of landing more fish. And in a match, that's what it's all about. And sometimes it's just about taking those risks. And that's why, again, coming up and just having a cheeky practice is so important. It's because there's nothing worse sat in a match and you're stringing together a few fish and thinking you're doing well, and then someone a couple of pegs up is absolutely smashing lake to bits, because they've swapped up baits and they're catching better. So it's good to do your own work now, where there's no money at stake. There we go, straight in. Come on. Oh, God. See how much sooner and faster that bite came then. There we go. And again, just as that was settling, straight up. little skimmer again. It's unhooked itself, even better. That's a bit better. That was straight again as soon as oh yeah, as soon as that float settled, basically that was in, and that was a better fish as well. And that's the annoying thing, I don't want to be losing them. If I start losing them, there's no point being here, is there? Do you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. Took a little bit longer to come, but it came as all those bubbles and that were fizzing up, so they're having a good grub around. Oh, nice little billy barbel. I thought it was hugging bottom a bit. Generally when you're fishing meat, if you strike, you're going to pull straight through and out of it. One thing I have found, especially with dusting it in ground bait, if you cut it and as soon as it's cut, whack it in a bag with a ton of ground bait and just leave it in the fridge. Make sure every little bit is coated, give it a right good shake around, just leave it in your fridge. It does kinda dry it out, so that the edges, the skin if you like, does become a little bit tougher, and it is more durable on the hook. So that's always worth doing it if you're constantly frustrated about pulling through or it coming off your hook. It's almost like dry curing it if you like, but in ground bait. So a little tip might just help. Oh, there we go. That took a bit longer, but we'll see what size is. I'm going to switch to corn anyway now, just to see if that makes a difference. Yeah, another little tiny little stocky. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so it's always that's the reason why I wanted to come up today, just to try a few things and see. So, and you never know, on Sunday it might be a completely different day altogether. So what we got there? Oh, come on, see, that's a bit, should have had him in the net bloody straight away. Messing about, man, messing about too much. But anyway, so that was a better fish on the corn. So I'm going to go straight back in again over at top with corn. That bite did take slightly longer to come that time, but it was a better fish. So again, it's working out what you think is going to be best for any given day, but again, not thought he'd come off and arsing about too much. He's a bit better as well. That's the stamp we want to get into. Yeah, and just changing those hook baits. I've switched back to corn again now after that one on the meat, just to see, they seem to be able to get a couple and then it'll take longer to get the bite, whereas if you then switch to a different hook bait, they tend to come a little bit faster. So I think that's going to be one of one of the things as well with this lake, because it's newly stocked, they're going to be a little bit wary of everything, aren't they, I guess. But if you can snatch a couple of fish on meat and then maybe switch to corn or something and just basically feeding in those micros, it's the micros that are drawing them in and holding them there. And if your hook bait is the only thing there that's a good meal for them, then you stand a better chance of getting that bite quicker. A lazy bite, wasn't it? I thought I'd missed him, to be honest. So, and again, this one came a little bit quicker as well. I'm just switching on onto that corn. Right then, there's been we've got into kind of a rhythm at 8 meters now, feeding the micros and then swapping the hook bait between a bit of corn or a chunk of meat, just to keep them bites coming. We've lost more fish than I would have liked, though. That's the only thing that's concerning me at the moment. But anyway, by the by, I can use slightly bigger hooks or wider gape hooks as well, just to help me with those hookups. That's the only thing I can really think of changing currently before Sunday, but we'll see. But there has been a few fish moving and showing just in this inner edge, if you like. So what I did earlier for my margin rig, I found an area of about 18 inches just on the top of the shelf. Now this seems to be where these carp that have been showing have been showing up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a couple of traps. Okay, I'm going to set one down the left hand side with just ground bait. Okay, I'm not going to feed anything else at all. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to bang one just to the right hand side, same depth, same sort of distance, but I'm going to put particles down there. I'm going to put some micros, a bit of corn, a few maggots, and just see which one gets them going quicker. Okay, so yeah, when you're targeting the margins, you've got to think where the fish are coming from. Okay, and what does happen on a lot of venues is they'll physically patrol these lanes, basically. Okay, they won't just come in from open water, they'll be swimming up and down these waiting to pick up bits of food as and when they come across it. Okay, because they're not that stupid, do you know what I mean? So it's always worth just setting traps. Okay, I mean, you could set up one on a top kit plus one, and then you could do one further down on say 6 sections, and just set the traps for when the fish come in. You can nick one from there, nick one from here, and just keep rotating them. Okay, not really got that option today, but we're just going to give these a little while and see what happens, really. So what I'm going to do, there we go. Again, that was just on a different bait again, a bunch of maggots, and the bite came. Again, it's just all about changing different upbait options, in it seems to be today. They're not wanting any one thing in particular, and sometimes it's difficult on days like that to be constantly stringing a few bites together, but it is what it is. But at least we've kind of sussed it out, and we know that when we do come back, that we could probably expect the same sort of thing again. Do you know what I mean? It's because we've come up here now and we're doing the practice. We're kind of giving ourselves that extra knowledge of potentially how the session could go, just to give give us ammo basically, because if we'd have turned up cold like we have done today in a match situation, we're going to get mullered basically. So now we know what is kind of working, the methods that are working, the areas that the fish want to be in, and just how finicky they are with hook baits and stuff. It's all knowledge that we need really to be competitive coming up here and doing a match. So it might not have been an ideal day, rain, high winds, everything else in between. I've been in about a minute now, and what we'll do is we'll give this another 4 minutes. We'll give it 5 minutes in total, because I think if we haven't had any indications there or bites, that there's nothing there basically. Oh, and as he said that, he missed a bloody bite, and now I'm all tangled up. There we go, sorted. So okay, so that came after about a minute and a half, so there's obviously something down there having a mooch around. That's because I weren't concentrating, and that's the thing as well. If I fish a match, do I really want to be filming it, or should I just switch the camera on and ignore? Oh, there we go, he's a runner, he's gone. So okay, yeah, do I want to be thinking about what I'm saying or what? I don't know. Oh, it's not the fish I thought it was, because that big chunk that was buzzing me is just spooked him out of this margin. So, you see, I thought this was early to come onto these margins, and I wouldn't have even bothered looking if I was in a match for at least another hour. But again, you've got to look at the signs, look at what is going on in your peg, really. And for the sake of what will it have been, a 5 minute gamble? You know, this son of a... Oh man, so annoyed, so annoyed. So that's what, 3 decent fish I've lost now, and that could be like the match, the money, do you know what I mean? And it's just so annoying. But anyway, it happens. It's fractionally deeper this right hand margin as well, closer in, so probably gives the fish a bit more confidence. There we go, in again, and I'm going to land this one, and if I don't, I'm going to throw all my bloody gear in the freaking lake, man, honestly. My shoe is only a diddy, and he... Oh, barble. But still, it's another one in the net. So that was a bite from each side. Better fish came from that side over the ground bait. So I'm going to drop in again. In fact, yeah, drop in with a pellet again. Yeah, there's a couple of pigtails grubbing around down there now. And again, I'm not introduced anything other than this ground bait. Oh, there we go. This is probably the second. Oh, fuck. Flipping heck's sake, man. See what response we get with this, because that will form a beautiful cloud all the way down the water column. And we'll just see, because when we fed the micros, we used to get all the plenty of bubbles coming up and stuff like that, but we've come off straight away. Look, they're still there, aren't they, even though I've not fed anything like that area of water, although this looks absolutely minute and foul hooked. Brilliant. God, didn't even have strength to push the landing net back down, did it? Okay, so yeah, had a little one mooching around out there then, isn't there? So at least we know, I'm positive now, that there's going to be fish permanently on that line. It's just a matter of getting through the little uns, feeding them off with those micros, and using the bigger hook baits. I think will work on that 8 metre line without a shadow of a doubt. So that's that one sussed out. Just going to fill that in with maggots. I'm going to drop onto this margin line with hard pellet again and just see if we can't get one out. So yeah, again, just dropping in that pole pot full of ground bait, just feeding it in, and then just dropping hard pellet over the top. Yeah, it's getting a few swirls again now. There's a few indications on that float. It's getting buffeted around a bit. There we go. We're in again, hopefully. Fingers crossed, guys. I want this one out. Oh, for God's sake. Oh man, the swirls were like from freaking Loch Ness Monster or something, and then I hook into this bloody thing. Jesus Christ. Give me strength, honestly. Ah, dearie me, you couldn't make this up, could you? But there is something bigger down there, definitely, because it was swirling. Ah, goodness me. Goodness me. Ah, dear. That's the trouble with barbel as well. They do just hug the bottom, and they are strong for the weight. Even the diddy ones will pull your laggy out, which is what that one did. Ah, God. There we go, finally. Oh, another barbel. So yeah, it's been quite an interesting session really, and I have learnt tons, to be honest, and that is the only reason I came up here. Is to have a practice, see what's what, because I was under the impression that it were mainly match size carp, like £2 average sort of stamp, but clearly that's not the case. A lot of the stockies seem to be around 10 ounces to a pound, and there's some bigger size fish in here as well, so that's worth thinking about, because mainline wise on these pole rigs, I can step it up, I think, 'cause it's the hook lengths I need to focus on more than anything else really. So I need to just try get some 14s in the margins. I think I've always used a 16. I've always been mega confident with a 16 in the margin, but obviously it's got other ideas today. I think this is a barbel and the way it's pulling. Yep. Another few of them. Yeah, you see there's massive tails in both margins again now, so right then, and this is now, because I'm feeding a ton of maggots, it has responded. There's fish mooching around, and this is just at the bottom of that inside slope. So maybe I weren't feeding it enough earlier. So maybe to kick it off, because I think the barbel are going to be patrolling up and down here, aren't they? So I think to kick this off, a massive swirl down there now. Yeah, so right, where was I? Yeah, So the plan is going to be kick it off short on this short line, and rather than not feed very much and see, I'm going to fill it in with maggot, basically, with a nice big bunch of maggot on hook. Whoop, missed him. See if I can't get some barbel or some decent skimmers in the net early, see what everybody else is up to. We've got the 8 metre line, depending on what everybody else is up to. As soon as people start catching long, then that's where I'm going to start fishing, basically, on that 8 metre line anyway. We'll see. It'd be interesting to see if anyone's using the waggler or the feeder, because I'm going to set up the feeder as well, basically, just to see. I know I've not brought it with me today, and that was a mistake. I should have brought it, but we can see for those spells where maybe that 8 metre line drops off and there's nothing showing in this inside, we can pop a feeder out for 20 minutes, rest the lines, maybe pick up the bonus carp or something, and do it that way. So we don't often lose fish on the feeder, really, unless we get snapped off, which is a bit of a bone of contention of mine at the moment with guru hooks anyway, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And then obviously just feed the margins as and when. Use some nice big juicy 14 hooks, big hook baits, and just hope that we get some decent hook hooks. Although having said that, even though we've lost a couple and spooked them, they're still milling in this bottom edge. And there was one cruising from the right, and he's just gone underneath my feet. So they are following that pattern. Like I said earlier, they'll follow lines to where the food is going to be, basically. So yeah, plenty of little knocks and indications now on that float. So the fish, to be fair, are probably mid-water now, because I've fed that much in a big bunch. It's going to lift them up off the bottom. Yeah, another big swell just down here to me, literally next to my right foot. So yeah, I just dropped in on a double corn on this margin, and we are literally off straight away. This is definitely a carp, not a barbel this one, I don't think. And this is the bonus fish that we need, really. Definitely what we need right now is this carp coming out sooner rather than later. So again, that was on double corn and just literally over that ground bait. I've not fed anything else other than ground bait. This is a decent size. This is a nice wallowy mirror. Get his head up. Come on. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, jeez, man, this is what we've wanted for the past few fish, isn't it, really? That is that bonus carp. Looks like he's been fouled at one point, but oh, dearie me, look at that. And that's what you want, those late on margin fish. Oh, easy. Bugger. It was literally right under my feet. He's been popping up a few times today, and he just popped up then. Oh, almost had him in net straight away. He's well hooked, I think, anyway. We'll see. I'll deal with him coming back. Mint. Dearie me. And again, it's about setting traps for him, really. He's been cruising in to get the loose bits that have dropped off when I've been filling the pole pot up, and has been cruising in and out all day, as I say. So I set that little trap for him, and he's fallen for it, thankfully. So just a matter of getting him in now, but we'll see. You see, and it's these fish that if you can set little traps like that and get them, they can be your match winning fish without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, that was literally under my feet, and he's a good size lump. Let me see, and this is now making me wonder if those fish I lost earlier were foul hookers, because I know he's properly hooked and everything else is doing its job properly. Do you know what I mean? So maybe I was just a bit unlucky earlier, but that's fishing for you, innit? I guess it's frustrating as hell, but when it goes right, doesn't it? And that's got to focus on the positives, really. Come on. Oh, come on. Come on. Oh, yes. Beauty. Oh, what a clunker as well. Jesus, wet. Oh, man. I know you're angry, mate, but come on. Right then. Ow, son of a bitch. Right then, hook's out anyway. Right, I don't think for 1 second I want to be able to hold him up properly, but we'll try, because he is ginormous. I mean, look at that. He's a good bonus fish, that. And oh man. Right, let me get you out of the bloody net, you mong. Oh, Jesus Christ, man, honestly. You out? Oh, keep swimming into the freaking net, moron. Ah, dear. So yeah, there we go. Another bonus fish, and I'm happy with that. That fish was the confidence booster there for me, because to lose those earlier ones, I was questioning my setup and my gear, the hooks I was using and stuff like that. But to get that one out, and then that one just from literally underneath my feet, obviously with proper hookups, proper presentation, you're not going to lose the fish. So I'm going to forget about the ones I've lost. There's no we can do about them anyway. But yeah, that I've really enjoyed today's session actually, and it's given me a good plan of what I need to do on the match on Sunday. So I'm definitely going to come up and give it a go. Because Sunday's another day, everything's going to be completely different weather-wise, all sorts of stuff like that. So yeah, initially we're going to start off on that short line with maggot, maybe an odd pellet over the top. I don't know. We'll see what happens those first 10-15 minutes. Then I'm going to get that 8 metre line, sorted out. I'm going to get that primed with micros. I'm going to feed some meat and corn over the top of that as well, and have those as hook baits. Maybe switch to pellet depending on what happens. I'm going to set up the method feeder rod as well with a tiny little pellet feeder, just in case there is a lull, because there's been tons and tons of fish showing on that far bank in that mud line, and hopefully if we can pick off a couple of decent ones of them, we can get the early bonus fish as well. Depending on what happens on that 8 metre line, obviously we'll play that by here. And then obviously later on, the last hour, I think maybe hour and a half, because they came into the margins really early today, so that's something to keep an eye on. So I might prime it with 2 hours to go and just see. But again, I'm going to feed one side purely with ground bait, and the other side I'm going to give a few micros and a little bit of loose offerings and stuff, and just see what happens really. We can't do anything else than that. Rig wise, I think they're pretty much sorted. If it's choppy like this, I'm going to use a 4x16. If it is a little bit better wind wise, then a 4x14. But again, we'll see on the day, can't we? But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you've got some good hints and tips in there as well. Yeah, thanks for watching. Catch you next time.